the whistleblower who took down a multi-billion-dollar deal between the Kenyan government and India's Adani Group.
The least person, they're all talking about Adani, the airport, and the power deals, and all the deals that Adani is involved in.
What does it mean for Kenya's future? Join Geeta Mohan for an exclusive interview with Amenya as he reveals the truth behind the deal, life threats, and the fight for transparency.
Everything that I ever said about Adani has become true with the charges that they are facing in the US.
This is the story that changed everything. Watch exclusively on India Today Global.
Information that has been provided to us by partner nations. I have directed agencies within the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum to immediately cancel the ongoing procurement process for JKI expansion public-private partnership transaction, as well as the recently concluded Ketrago transmission in public partnership.
Now, that's the Kenyan president announcing withdrawal of the Adani deal. All that happened, big developments, but the man of the hour, the man who had exposed the deal in the first place, whistleblower Nelson Amenya, a 30-year-old student who's living in Paris today because he dug up details of what the deal was between Adani Group and the Kenyan government. There were two very important deals. One was a power deal that was withheld by the High Court, but the other one was the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport deal. And much pressure, amid much pressure, political pressure as well, we are now looking at Kenya withdrawing the deal. This also comes at a time when US has indicted, the Department of Justice has indicted Gautam Adani and his executives on charges of bribery and fraud. We'll have to wait and see how that really pans out. But whistleblower Nelson Amenya joins us here on India Today Global. Shrouded in secrecy, what was this deal all about? He started putting them out, and today, amidst a lot of pressure, political and otherwise, we see Kenya withdrawing the deal. This comes a day after news broke about US Department of Justice indicting Adani and executives of the company on charges of bribery and fraud that was committed here in India. Nelson Amenya, thank you so much for joining us from Paris. You're in Paris, you're not in Kenya. That's where you started putting out the stories from. Let's just begin with the deal. There's a lot of conversation and reports on how the Kenyan government and Adani Group were involved in deals on infrastructure projects, particularly the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and speaks of lack of transparency, very opaque, shrouded in secrecy. Could you just shed some light on what is it that you exposed? What was the deal about?
Thank you. So yes, I'm in Paris, and thank you for having me. Yeah, I exposed this deal when I was in Paris, obviously because it's quite dangerous to do it back at home in Kenya because of all the protests that had been going on, and there's been abductions. So obviously it's a bit risky to do it in Kenya. And what drew my attention is that the deal was very, very secretive, as you've said. It wasn't in the public sphere, as opposed to what is supposed to be the norm. All the PPP projects are supposed to be actually on their website, but this wasn't there. It wasn't known by any of the public officials, parliamentarians. Only those that are close to the ruling party and close to the president were aware of this deal. Otherwise, it was a very, very secretive deal. And when I got my hands on the papers, on the proposal, on the feasibility report from Adani, and exposed it, basically I invited the government to come, forward and say if this is false, or to come and give, clear the air and say, yes, we have a deal with Adani, and it's for the airport and for this and that. But they actually denied having any knowledge of such a deal. They denied that they are in any kind of arrangement with Adani, only for them later to come and say, oh yeah, we are trying to negotiate a deal with Adani to lease our airport for 30 years. That's after they denied my my expose for about 2 months. And when the heat was, increasing, and there was protests, there was the Kenya Association of Airport Workers strike. This is now when they had the pressure, so they had to come forward and say, okay, we are in this deal, and we haven't reached an agreement yet, but we are in the process. But the deal began in March. Actually, it began in December last year. Adani expressed interest in April of last year, and by December, nobody knew about it. By March, when they submitted the proposal, nobody knew about it. In April, when it was so normally when they submit the proposal,
wasn't there an open tender? Wasn't there an open tender or proposal by the government inviting companies?
So what happens with public procurement in Kenya? The law has four methods of public procurement. So number one,
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Sorry, my mic is kind of acting up as usual. Let me make sure that I fix it so you can hear me clearly. I hope I'm audible. I'm sorry I tried to start the live before, and I had to fix some things, so I had to stop that live session and start a new one so that we can, how to mash up things so we can be on board. Haya, karibuni. Promise Baraka, I see you. Hello. Haya, Wangira, I see you. Hey, karibu. I'll put the link in a minute, Wangira. I'll put the link in a minute. Let me just play. As a matter of fact, let me just put the link. Let me just put the link because Wangira is here. Okay. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Wangira. I don't know. Let me put the link in so maybe you can help me and you can tell me where do you want to start. But there's KK pia kwa hapa na leo kweli meamua ati mkuje YouTube Anyway, so karibu. There's the nini wherever you want to start. Harun Muya is also watu wana karibuni. There's one thing that I wanted to mention here. There's news so far that latest news for those of you who care about politics or politics. This has to do with Okiya Mtata, who has announced, as a matter of fact, let me at KK. KK na kuona syllabus inakimbia sana kila syllabus is moving very quite fast. Okay, Wangira is already in. Leo hata headline hata sina headline. Whatever you want to go with this, I'm going with it. I whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about it. Regarding Kenya politics, of course, we are going to talk about KK. Karibu pia. Yes, Mr. Wangira. Karibu. Let me know where do you want to start. Okiya Mtata is running for president. Babu Owino wants to start his chama. Adani is dannering himself, and everything is just nothing is working. So, can you please try to sort this mess out, Mr. Wangira? If you're the president, please start with the number one issue that you want to discuss and guide the conversation. I don't even know where to start. Go ahead. Karibu sana.
How are you, my brother?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. You know, it has been a very, very interesting week. You know, it has been a week of, trying to save the face. And at the same time, throwing other people under the bus. And when I say that, trying to save the face and throwing other people under the bus, this is what I mean. The people of Kenya were very, very clear. They did their homework very, very well, and they discovered that Adani was not the type of firm that Kenya was supposed to have done business with. And they shouted, but the government of Kenya, led by William Samoei Ruto, said that everything that was signed with Adani was above board. I remember when they were signing the 94 billion deal with Ketraco, William Samoei Ruto defended Adani, he defended Adani.
Mm-hmm.
Then, just hours before President William Samoei Ruto, cancelled the Adani deals. The minister in charge of energy, Okiya, was in the Senate, and he told senators that what was happening in the United States had no consequence with the deal that had been signed in Kenya. 2 hours later, Okiya had been thrown under the bus as William Samoei Ruto was struggling to save his face. So, this is very, very interesting. And remember, Raila Amolo Odinga, the man that we have branded on this particular platform, a conman. If I call him a conman on the other platform, I'll be kicked out. But here, I'm allowed to call him a conman. Purported, we call him, the laundry, he louned us. He louned us, Raila Odinga is knowing for laundering. So, the guy laundered Adani. And, he told the people of Kenya that when he was Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, he met the present Prime Minister of India when he was the governor of Gujarat. When he was the governor of Gujarat, and he was taken around and he was shown a number of projects that had been done by Adani. And, as far as he was concerned, there was nothing like Adani Gate. In fact, Raila Odinga, I remember him using the word Adani Gate. Then he was saying that, where he was concerned, there was nothing like Adani Gate. Then, a few months later, under 2 months, because later, William Samoei Ruto has thrown Raila Odinga under the bus, cancelled the deal. So, I don't know. I'm waiting to see what Raila Odinga will be telling the people of Kenya. Because where he stood then, everything concerning to it. In fact, Raila Odinga was defending the Adani group of companies. That this was a company that was above board. Then, later on, issues came up from the United States where, we were told that, they were using the government of India to try and bribe. Imagine a government being used to carry out bribery. And that's the reason why they were being indicted in the United States. Then, when that issue came up, it was so hot here, so hot. And I believe that, William Samoei Ruto, already facing a legitimacy question, had to save his face. And the only way that William Samoei Ruto was going to save his face was by cancelling the Adani deal, throwing people under the bus. Yeah. Now, what I'm asking myself, where does it leave Raila Odinga? Where does it now leave the experts that he purported to have exported to, Kenya Kusha government? Where does it leave them? Where does it leave them? Where does it leave Raila Odinga? Where does it leave these experts, who were so vocal and they were telling us that, there was nothing that was going to affect Adani.
Right.
There was nothing that was going to affect Adani. Then there are issues that are coming up.
Go ahead, sorry.
There are issues that are coming up. I read something online. I don't know whether it's true or false that, there is the FBI plus CIA reports that, Adani could have bribed some Kenyan officials, millions of shillings. So I want to see how it will play out. And you remember, there was some 3-4 months ago, there was a story of a Kenyan minister who was arrested in Dubai with an equivalent of Kenya shillings 200 billion in cash. You remember that particular story, and
yes,
it was swept under the carpet. So I'm trying to relate that story. If you have mentioned him, I've not mentioned him.
The Subaru. Okay, I'm the
So
one who said
you
it.
remember that story of the
Yes.
So
yes.
you remember that story of 200 million Kenya shillings as a bribe?
Yes.
You know, that was purported to have been bribe that was given to a Kenyan official in Dubai. And this Kenyan official was arrested with the money in cash. And, you know, the issue was swept under the carpet. And here we are being told that, you know, there are FBI reports, the CIA reports that, you know, purport that, you know, Kenya's officials could have been bribed by Adani. Then I believe that next week is likely to be a very, very interesting week. And again, finally, because I want to allow my brother to come in, you know, Raila Odinga candidacy at African Union Commission has been tainted by the Adani issue. Because, you know, he was telling us that, you know, Adani, he was as white as cotton. And, you know, eventually you have discovered that, you know, Adani is not as white as cotton, you know, is what are described as, you know, a farm of, you know, crooks and criminals, you know. Adani is something that I can describe as a farm of crooks and criminals. If you remember the issue of the BCCI, you remember the issue of the BPCI, what was the Bank of Commerce, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International that went under with, you know, billions of people had earned, you know, cash. So, you know, there's somebody called, you know, Robert Gates who branded it as, you know, a bank of crooks and criminals. And you remember this bank was also founded in Pakistan, and, you know, Pakistan and India are neighbors. So, you know, BCCI was founded in Pakistan. Adani had been founded in India.
You froze. Wangira, you froze. Okay, let's give him a minute. Maybe he might come back. I don't know what happened. He just froze. Pole, we'll just wait for him. Before I bring in my friend Melchizedek, yes, Pakistan. I would like Wangira to elaborate more on that BCCI. I think whatever that bank was. I don't know much about it, so I'm new to what he's saying. But regarding Adani, there's something that I hear a lot of people saying in the Kenyan, in the Twitter sphere or other platforms. They are saying that Ruto might be in trouble with the US because Adani are indicted in New York, you know, in New York. But here's the thing: Ruto is not in trouble here. The Adani people, the reason why they are indicted in New York, it's because the Adani Group brothers and the whole conglomerate, they actually try to swindle a US investor, okay? Because the US can only get in if it affects their government, okay, or their citizen, okay? So by doing a business with somebody who was a US investor, who they try to bribe or something like that, that gives the FBI and FBI, basically. CIA is more of something else, but they can actually get involved as far as intelligence is concerned, but they don't do the prosecution or arresting. FBI is basically the cops for the US, the federal cops, okay? So what I'm trying to say is this. The Adani Group, business group, they tried to bribe, or they kind of did something. They swindle money of a US investor. So this investor was like, hey, what's going on here then? You know, probably told the FBI, hey, listen, something's going on here. Then they kind of did the investigation, and they went down, and that's why, you know, they have more than good reason to believe that Adani is that's why they are indicting Adani Group in New York. But as far as Ruto is concerned, Ruto is not connected to this, because the Ruto corrupt deal, or whatever the corrupt arrangement that they have with Adani, was only between the government of Kenya and the Adani Group. So the US cannot really come in and indict Adani over that, or indict Ruto as the head of state of Kenya, because that's a deal between two entities that has nothing to do with the US. They can only assist, let's say, if they have evidence that Adani was doing something shoddy or whatever the case. but they cannot really indict Ruto on that unless the Ruto was doing business with the US directly, and that's when that can happen. But yes, sorry we lost you there, but let me say hi to Melchizedek, then we'll go back to Wangira. I'm sure Melchizedek has something to say. Melchizedek, karibu sana.
Mzuri sana.
Golgotha kunaendeleaje?
Tuko salama salmini. Siku hizi Swahili ndio tunaozungumza.
Umesahau Kisungu?
Kitambo sana.
Hey, tangu wache baba sasa Kisungu imeisha.
Imeisha. Imebaki tu kidogo tu ile ya kuomba maji.
Sasa unaonaje hii mambo ya Adani? Let's start with Adani. Unaona Ruto, first of all, like we discussed the other day, Ruto alienda kwa parliament akasema hati haya amecancel hiyo Adani deal. And hours before, nani Wanda alikuwa anapiga kifua anasema sisi hiyo kesi ilikuwa huko Amerikani. Hii haituhusu. So sisi tunaendelea mbele. But there's so much wrong with that statement alone. It's like if a company, go ahead, sorry.
My question is very simple. How sure are we that Ruto is saying the truth about this matter?
That's a good question. And me personally, if I was to answer, I'll say I don't believe Ruto is going to cancel this deal. Wataileta kwa njia tofauti.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
What I'm seeing is because Ruto want to buy for 2027 and people doesn't want this issue of Adani and everything, it's trying to be in that umbrella of cancellation, but by the look of things, hii kitu bado iko ndani. Even if you listen for the news for today, there was this issue of Adani, if I'm not. So, hii maneno, mimi I don't believe it 100%. It's just like mchezo. Ili watu wajue kwamba hii kitu imekanseliwa, lakini it's still something that is going on. Because we know this guy, we know the Ruto from the word go. Everybody should not believe his words.
And
because
no one does.
Yeah. So hiyo maneno yenye watu wanasema, unless miracle happens, but the Ruto we know. No. I disagree 100%.
Okay. Now, I want to steer this because I think this is leading us. I like the way you've pivoted, and I was going there. Actually, this is something I wanted to touch on, but you can, unaweza kuzungumzia yote. Bana namwona keke pia pale. Okay, this is my view, and I'll let you guys talk, give me your opinion. Now, today we had Okiya Omtata come out and said, anakimbia 2027, or his, ana hiyo exploratory, whatever it is, I don't know the word, okay? Exploratory committee ambayo itaangalia ifanye feasibility studies in it. But basically he's saying he's going to run in 2027. What I'm not happy about is this. The goal was to remove Ruto. Let's work on removing Ruto first. Hata hii 2027 tusifikirie mwanzo. Because saying that 2027 tunaenda kukimbia 2027, that means that you are ready to let Ruto become president, aendelee na kuendelea na kuwa rais mpaka 2027. So mimi, I'm not happy with this announcement by Okiya Omtata. To top it off, he named Hanifa of all the people. I don't trust Hanifa. I don't know why. I just don't trust that lady. I'm sorry. She's been on those maandamano, but kuna kitu. Tangu ile siku alienda kwa DCI, yeye na yule nani Mwangi, I forgot his father, Boniface. Alafu nilikuwa naona wanacheka hapo kwa press conference. I was like, something is up with these people. And that's why I don't trust. Maybe I'm a skeptic. Maybe mimi ni mtu ambayo siamini watu, but I'm very disappointed. Melchizedek,
I'm back.
niambie alafu tuende kwa keke.
Yeah, I'm back. I was doing something actually. I'm still in this generation where people are working night. You know, I'm from Homa Bay County, so I have
It's
that
okay.
certificate. Night runner. Anyway, so things that are happening in Kenya, there are things that people should look deeper, because each and every day lazima kile anything like ujinga ingine lazima itokee. Unaona? People are now these leaders, they are now talking about 2027 while people are suffering. Last time Ruto alisema vizuri ati hizi miaka mbili zenye zimebaki ni ya kufanya kazi, ambayo ni uongo, which people should not believe. And I'm really sympathizing with my people, the so-called Kisumu people. I'm really sympathize with them, because these are the people that they are going, we call it joyriders. The joyriders, you know, kama unaendesha baiskeli, yule mtu mwenye amekaa nyuma, hata kama unaenda kwa mlima, ni wale watu wa Kisumu ambayo wanaenda na baba alisema ya kwamba kile kitu iko sawa. You heard yesterday when yesterday, sorry, we are in today, sorry. Yesterday they talked about something in a conference that Ruto is now okay, and Ruto will do something with our economy. Like, we are blind, you know. People are very, I don't know. So the issue of Adani, forget about it. It's something that government already approved, and it will go on. Whether we like it or no, it's something that is going on even right now. Ni kitu yenye itafanywa chini ya maji, na haitamaliza 3 months kama haijatokelezea kwamba this is Adani's work, this is Adani's blah blah. You know, right? So it's something open, that we need to open our eyes and see how these people are playing with our mind. Those who doesn't see it, watasema ya kwamba kile kitu iko sawa. But for us, we are seeing it, we will say nothing is happening to the so-called regime, because wanatuchezea, wanatunyanyasa, wanatufanyia everything, but we are still lying on their lies. So huwezi sema ati Ruto alisema ya kwamba Adani ni mzuri, all of a sudden ana change kwamba sasa amecancel. How?
Yeah.
Alipitia wapi? Na ilienda mpaka kwa parliament, watu wa parliament wao wenyewe ndio walikuwa wanaunga hii kitu. The so called baba pia alikuja akasema ni msafi kama pamba. So are we really seeing what is happening, or we are still blind?
Yeah.
For the few that understand what is taking place right now, we should stand and say this is not what we were expecting. But those who doesn't see, hata mtu alisema kwa nini tukiomba tunafunga macho? Have you ever asked about that question? When you are praying, you have to close your eyes. Why? Ndio tusione Mungu ama ni nini? No. It's like the inaitwa aje? Hiyo siasa ya Kenya. You know? No one has never explained why when people are praying you need to close your eyes.
I think hiyo question ulikuwa unauliza, it's related to hii comment ya Wanjiku ambaye anasema what Wanda I said is where Ruto stands, and I suspected that because, like we said, how can two people who are in the same government, arm of government, have different views? Yeah, Wandai alienda akasema ati hiyo ni mambo ya Amerika, hii si haituhusu, tuendelee nayo, tutaendelea tu nayo. Alafu Ruto anaenda kwa ninio kwa bunge, alafu anatuambia ati sasa tu cancel yote, but the case is still in court, ile at least ya hiyo ya Ketraco. So on the 27th ambao Gachoka pia atakuwa huko, amesema tutaenda tuangalie kama watai withdraw hiyo case, wakubali ati wanatoka kwa hiyo deal, so we jue kama ni ukweli ama tu hii ni kuongea. But me I suspect, like Wanjiku say, Ruto I think his intention ni kuendelea na hizi contract. Ni tu atasema tu kwa umati, mbele ya umati ya watu ati hii contract imeisha, but he will still go through it. KK, let me come to you. Karibu sana. Your friend anataka kuingizana na anataka kushikana na Morara. I mean not Morara. Your friend Morara wants to join hands with Okiya. But you know how I feel about Morara. What's your view on all this? Naona niliona kama uliingia kwa jirani huko, kama ulichanganyikiwa chengeji.
No, sijachanganyikiwa. Unajua? I think we need to watu, I like how you, before you gave a chance to Mystic, you mentioned Hanifa. And my thinking is, some of these people, have you ever wondered since Morara after that day, hajaishi tena? I think.
Yeah.
Some of these people wako kwa Ruto side, they waliingia to the political class side. And I think on top of that, that was facilitated by the US government, the CIA. You know they want the future leaders too, right? So we have to be very careful when we give these people air. And I like the way you questioned Hanifa, and I would beg, if Omtata is watching, to be very careful with these people. Some of these people are sleeper agents. Do you remember the lady that lady who was complaining about Mercy? You remember Mercy?
Who was complaining about what?
You remember Mercy? Mercy kutoka Western, right? Mercy nani?
She's not from Western. Something. She's from. She was fighting against the. She was fighting against
the MP or somebody.
The senator stealing the money for kids in Eldoret was English.
Oh, Nani. Okay. Umkale. Nani.
Yeah.
This beautiful young lady. She was supposed to come on my channel. Mercy Tarus. Yes.
You know where she is now? She's in Finland.
Is she?
Yes, she is.
Because she had a post where she was like, anasema niko Ulaya or whatever with a friend right after hiyo rumazia nini Finland ilitokea. So I don't know. I actually don't know. So maybe she might be. I don't know.
She is now, and she's been quiet. These people are sleeper agents, and I want us to be very careful. We watch them, because if we don't watch these people.
It's not sleeper agents. If she's gone outside the country and she got the opportunity, she won her battle. Her school fees was eaten, and kama alilipiwa na akaenda ni sawa. She won her battle.
Maybe let's say she was compromised. Casey, by the way, how was that case? How did it go? Sorry, KK, we are kind of interrupting you.
It's fine.
How did that case end up?
I don't.
The case is still in court in double quotes because the senator was taken to Nakuru court, and then it was squashed for the time being because I think there was hostility during the Gen Z movement. And then the next day, Mandago was taken to court in Nakuru. Then, kawaida ya Kenya, it just died down, just quietly. So the case is still there, but the
is she around?
Keep.
The lady from KK, she's gone somewhere to another
Finland
country
or something.
to study.
Yeah, nilisikia hivyo pia. But go ahead.
Let me finish.
Okay, sawa. Hold on. Wacha tuache KK endelea. Amalize his thought. Okay, KK endelea.
So I'm trying to say we need to be very careful to watch our watu, because our watu, if we are not careful, we will lose our country. And I want us to be very careful. We watch them. We don't watch these people. We don't watch these people. And
Ishia around?
wako kwa mfuko ya watu. So we have to make sure we verify. And this way I like Omtata. Because Omtata amekuwa, even when he was nobody, he was following these things up. We can trace them, their actions. Their actions, we can trace them. That's what I'm saying. We have to be very careful so we watch these people. Because in mchezo, that's why we're here. Having compromised people. Thank you.
Thank you, KK. I know Okiya Mtata works closely with Jimmy Wanjigi on especially hizo mambo ya debt na hizo mambo ingine. Like I said, Jimmy Wanjigi has done good things. I like that part of him. He's, says good things, at least exposes, our debt and all that. Is him a corruption at appear. But again, I'm kind of uncomfortable with Jimmy Wanjigi because I don't know how he made his money. And he's always, he's too close to power. And as your government, Huru Nanani was formed in his living room.
He
so
made money from the SGR. That's what I had.
He did what?
He was a lead pesa from the.
No, not him. No, not him. Actually, he was exposing the SGR money. He was exposing that SGR corruption. But he, as kutoka hizo zama za Budake, who just passed away, I think ako kwa hiyo business ya tender, hizo tender za government development or whatever the case is. That's how he made his billions. But all I'm saying is this: he's too close to power. Ujama, he basically said, government ya Kibaki, or was it Uhuru na nani na Ruto, was formed in his living room. He's friends with these guys. He rubbed shoulders in this. He actually made his billions dealing with Moi government, Kibaki, Uhuru. So I'm not sure how I can trust someone like that to be, and he has a lot of influence. I guess yende analipia hizo vitu za Okiya Mtata kenda kotini or something like that. So that's what makes me uncomfortable about him. But he says good things. So far, I'm impressed with his debts, whatever. But anyway, coming back to Keep Karibu, kabla tujenda kwa Angira, he was telling me about a bank that I wanted to ask him about. But Keep Karibu, I don't know where you want to start. Okiya Mtata is anasema run for president. Okay, I'm happy about that. But like I was saying, why are you talking about 2027 right now while we are trying to get Ruto out? Sisi tunajaribu tupate ICC iwekwe hapo, kama inawekwa tutoe hao ma MPs, alafu tujaribu kutoa Ruto, or tufanye popular revolution tumtoe. Nyinyi mnaanza mambo ya 2027. So running for 2027 basically says that Ruto can go on till 2027. Na Ruto tukimpatia one more year, Kenya itabadilishwa jina itwe Sugoi Limited. I don't trust this guy. So anyway, take it from where you want to take it, or if you want to talk about Adani, whatever, endelea.
So for Okiya Mtata, you got to understand his method. Not everybody does things the way we think or the way we would want to push it. I don't agree with his method to wait till 2027, but this is the man. Anytime anything happens constitutionally, by the way, I don't believe in the constitution of Kenya. It's garbage because nobody follows it. But let's look at the method that Okiya Mtata goes. Anything constitution ever happens, he runs to court. He's been doing this for very many years. He's a man of process. He's a man that actually believes in trying to change the system, doing the right thing, or doing it his way. So he waiting for 2027, trust me, that is how he's thinking. He's not a man of the streets. He's not a man of, what do you call it? You can see even when he was fighting to get to being a senator, he's been fighting, he's been taking things to court for many years. The court namchekelea. Every time you see Okiya Mtata with the folder of things running to court, we used to laugh at him. And he made it. He actually made it. And I was really surprised. So his methodology, he's his own. I don't think we need to throw trash to it. I think for us, we believe that we need to remove the man from Sugoi as soon as possible. For him, there are various ways of slicing and dicing a rat. Let everybody do his own way. If we fail, we're gonna back up Okiya Mtata. But I would not shoot it down. I don't like Morara. I don't trust him. I think he's the chief beggar. But let him let him do his thing. At least if we've got many hats in that race, the better for us, because this nonsense of picking the less of two evils is something that has destroyed Kenya. Why don't we have as many candidates as possible? Let them
keep that. That's what Ruto wants, though. Not to cut you off, but that's what Ruto wants. The more candidates you have, it splits the vote.
Yep.
So that's to his advantage.
Huh? We'll be falling in his trap.
No,
to divide our votes, question. So that's exactly what he wants.
So what he'll play, this is how he'll play it. I'm glad you asked why not. Because the more you are, the more votes itakuwa split. Alafu, he will try to play that. Kumbuka, hawa watu wakiiba kura, they always try to make it seem like it's very close. The race is very hot. It's a hotly contested ninio because some ninio inaenda hapa, sa inaenda hapa. Alafu, atatoka tu na some few votes ambao remember we have mobile voting stations if we stick to this amendment bill ambao is law now. Ataleta lori yengine imetoka Sugoi imejazwa na kura and say, hey, here's 1 million votes from me that qualifies me to make it 51% or whatever the case is. So to me, just to let you continue before I let you continue, I just wanted to say we can't rely on a corrupt system to give us the outcome we want. The system is already rigged. So if you're trying to run a president within this very system you're working in, that's why you're saying the constitution is rubbish. It's not working. It's not actually rubbish. It's just the people that we voted there don't want to follow it. So we have to remove these people because they're not respecting it. But go ahead. Sorry. I mean, interrupt.
No, whether you say the splits or whatever it is, I would say it's the same the other way around. Because I remember we were seated here thinking that we had majority. It's not going to stop Ruto from rigging everything. I'm just trying to say that even if it gets to the point where, you know how it is, it gets to the point where we have to go for a rerun, because remember it's 51 plus 1. There is no way Kenyans will allow that. No. We will not allow that. Sorry, I'm getting a call. Can I come back? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever, up or whenever you want to, whether you come in. Okay, Wangira, you're explaining something about some bank. I am not familiar with that case. The bank that you say people waliweka to some money there, alafu ikapotea. Can you just walk us through that very quickly? Then, you can just go ahead with your submission. Not very quickly, but whenever. Just regarding the bank, then get all. Yeah.
I was just relating, Adani to this bank. I don't know why you don't know about this bank. This was the world most, the world worst banking scandal in the 1990s that involved a bank that was called, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, the BCCI. You didn't hear about it?
No, I didn't.
Where people across the world were defrauded, billions of shillings. And, later on, there's a guy called Robert Gates, who branded it, as a bank of crooks and criminals. So, looking at, what Adani has been doing around the world, the portfolio that, Adani portrays is not a true portfolio. According to the people who have done an investigation on this particular company, it's not a true portfolio. It's not a true portfolio, but, they are engaging in activities that could be similar to what in economics we call kiting. Kiting, is portraying, a financial value that you don't hold. And, to cover it up, you come up with an mechanism of covering it up so that people do not realize that, what you're portraying to be your financial worth is not what it is. And I tend to believe that's what Adani is doing. And that's why Adani is engaging in bribery, so that, it can get the deals. Immediately you get the deals, then, you are sure that, there will be a down payment. And, when the down payment is done, it will help you to cover up on what was your lie. And that's why, Adani is engaged into this, what I call criminalities around the world, where they go into bribing. They bribe up to 10% of, the deal. Like the Kenyan issue, I don't know how true or false it is, the JKA issue. What I've just seen on internet here, the JKA deal was worth 92 billion Kenya shillings. That was the worth of the deal. And, there are talks that, Adani could have bribed as much as 9.2 billion. 9.2 billion, that's 10% of the deal. Imagine, if a person can go to that extent of bribing up to 10% of the amount of, of the deal, that tells you that this is a person who is ready to take every move so that he secures whatever he wants to secure. And that seems to be the problem. The problem that has now been, uncovered in the United States, where they were using the government of India to even carry out bribery so that they can win tenders. And I remember, what shocked me was, this guy called Wandai. When he said, when asked by the Senate, he said that, that was an issue that was concerning the United States. So it had no effect on Kenya. Then I remember Advocate Donald Kipkorir asking that, if you are a criminal, let us say in Kampala, if you are a criminal, we have those, there are those crimes that are internationally linked. For example, drug trafficking, for example, money laundering, those type of crimes, they don't tie you to a particular jurisdiction. If you commit money laundering in Kenya, or if you commit drug trafficking in Kenya, you can be tried elsewhere. So, Donald Kipkorir was asking, now that you are telling us that, the issue was in America and it does not have an effect in Kenya, are you telling us that if a drug trafficker is caught in America and he has some relations with Kenya, he cannot be tried in Kenya? That's the question that he was asking. But, I tend to agree with you people on one fact that, William Samoei Ruto could be hoodwinking us, because, where they had gone with Adani, in trying to realize this deal, it had gone far. I understand that, the Ketraco deal had been signed already. The JKIA deal, they were almost at the end tail of the process. Then there was another deal that, pertains the software that is supposed to be used by Chief. So there are 3 deals. So if there are 3 deals, I remember William Samoei Ruto talked about the 2 deals that were cancelled. He talked about the JKIA one. Then he talked about the Ketraco one. William Samoei Ruto never told the people of Kenya what is going to happen with the deal at Chief, a deal that is going to cost 104 billion shillings. He never commented anything about it. And Kenyans have been asking about that issue. They have been saying, you told us you have cancelled, JKIA. You have told us that, you have cancelled Ketraco. But you're not telling us what is happening with this 104 billion shillings deal that is supposed to go to the Shashi, software development. You have not talked. So me, I tend to think that, William Samoei Ruto could be hoodwinking the people of Kenya so that, time goes and, people forget. And, there are also what I call the legal consequences. The manner in this deal, in which, this deal was signed, it was signed that, the deal will not have effect on the Kenyan law, which means, immediately Adani comes in, you cannot take Adani in a Kenyan court. Immediately they move on the ground and they start operating according to that deal. You cannot take them to the Kenyan court. And, they came up with what we call the arbitration. And they say that arbitration can only take part in London. The arbitration can only take part in London. They are not tied to the Kenyan laws. And where there is a need for arbitration, it can only take part in London. And then there was also this issue of, cancellation, that if you cancel that deal, then, there will be consequences on the Kenyan exchequer. And here, William Samoei Ruto is telling us that, he has cancelled. Then he's telling us he has cancelled without telling us what the consequences are. Because we are likely to pay Adani for having done nothing, for having done nothing if you are not very, very careful. Because in the manner that, the deal was signed, we are likely to end up, where Anglo-leasing was. I understand, Anglo-leasing was paid, money for services not undertaken because of the manner in which the deal was signed. So, that legal aspect is what many Kenyans are not seeing, and is what many Kenyans are not looking at. And at the end of the day, whether Adani gets the deal or they don't get the deal here in Kenya, they will be pocketing money. They will be getting money because of, the manner in which the deal was signed. So, the legal consequence is what Kenyans are not seeing. But, at the end of the day, the Kenyan exchequer will end up paying Adani. That is the truth of the matter. Let me say something about Okiya Omtata. Okiya Omtata is a funny gentleman. He's my senator of Okiya, and he's my personal friend, very, very good friend of mine.
Tell him to come here.
Okiya Omtata proposed to release a Kenya Gazette book.
Tell him to come in the show. I need to interview him. I said, invite him to the show. So
in fact, I'm planning to call him. I'm trying to call him tomorrow. Let me call him tomorrow, then I'll let you know. Okay. So Okiya Omtata proposed to release a Gazette volume, a Gazette notice number 23203. It's volume CXXVI number 203 of 22nd November 2024. That's the Gazette notice that Okiya Omtata proposed to have released. My issue is not even on the Gazette notice. My issue is not even on the Gazette notice, but I like how Okiya Omtata is doing his things. Because Okiya Omtata says that we are at a pivotal moment in our national history, and the call to serve has never been more urgent. That's what he says. After careful consideration and consultations with trusted advisors, community leaders, and citizens from all walks of life, I am pleased to announce the formation of the Presidential Exploratory Committee. So this committee, the mandate of this committee is to explore whether the candidacy of Okiya Omtata is viable. That will be their work. And that's interesting, it's not just jumping in the ring. He's not just jumping in the ring just like anybody else, Morara has already told us that he's in the ring. Omtata here is telling us that, I'm not jumping into the ring. Before I jump into the ring, I must be sure that, the people of Kenya can elect me as president. And that's why he has formed this Presidential Exploratory Committee that has, terms of reference. And after they undertake, he says that the roadmap ahead requires thoughtful preparation, and the exploratory phase is a crucial step in ensuring that our vision for the future aligns with the hopes and aspirations of Kenyans. So you see, it's not just about jumping in the ring and saying that you want to run for president. Before you jump in the ring, you want to be sure that you can be electable. And if you are not electable, perhaps you can team with a team that can be electable by the people of Kenya. And I tend to think that this is the direction. Those people who think that they want to run as president of the republic should explore. They should go the Omtata way. Murara should also come up with his Presidential Exploratory Committee so that it can go out there and ask the people of Kenya if they are ready to elect him as president, so that we don't end up dividing the votes in the manner that you have said it. There's this issue of 50+1% that a president must get before he's outrightly declared as a winner. And in 2013, Uhuru Kenyatta crossed this margin by 10,000, under 10,000 votes. In fact, it was 9,900 and something. It was under 10,000 votes. So if you end up dividing your votes, by having so many candidates, it creates a loophole for William Samoei Ruto to do the malpractices that he would like to do. So he can now rig easily and win with a small margin, and he'll claim that he won. So the best way to defeat William Samoei Ruto is to have one strong candidate, only one strong candidate where the majority of Kenya will, direct their vote. But imagine having, Okiya Mtata, and the people of Busia vote for Okiya Mtata. Then you are going to have, Matiang'i, where the Kisses are going to vote for Matiang'i. Then you have a Mount Kenya candidate where the Mount Kenya people are going to vote for him. Then here you have William Samoei Ruto. That guy will exploit that weakness, and let me tell you, he's going to rig, and he's going to win. With even it does not it doesn't matter where William Samoei Ruto stands. It does not matter even if the margin was 500 votes, so long as he's declared as the president-elect. And by coming up with many candidates, I agree with you people that we'll be giving William Samoei Ruto room to rig this particular election in 2027, and declare himself as re-elected to go for the second term. So we need to be very, very, very careful on that particular aspect. And again, I'm waiting to see what the courts will be saying on this issue, whether we can impeach, whether the ordinary citizens of the Republic of Kenya can recall a president through a referendum. There's an application, there's that matter already in court ongoing. And it's a very, very interesting one, because we are saying, there's this talk in town here that sio lazima hata amalize one term. There's been that talk. So because that talk is there, the only legal way to deal with it is through such a case. For example, if the court declares that through a referendum the people of Kenya can recall a president, then that will be a way that we need to explore. And perhaps through such a way we can be in a position to recall this gentleman before we attain, before we reach 2027. Because the longer it stays, the more we are making him strong, and the more it's going to make it impossible for any other candidate to win. Because let me tell you, a weak president, like the way William Samoei Ruto is a weak president, is a dangerous one, because he knows he's a weak one. He's a wounded person. He's a wounded person. And somebody told me that a wounded buffalo is a very dangerous animal. So where William Samoei Ruto stands, he's already wounded. He knows that the people of there are many Kenyans who don't want him to go for a second term, and he's determined to go for a second term. So he's likely to use any mechanism that will propel him to being declared as president-elect in 2027. So we need to exploit whichever means, including the case in court, to see whether the court can allow the people of Kenya to conduct a referendum and recall William Samoei Ruto. Perhaps that's what I would say.
The problem with the referendum is you still will require IEBC to conduct the whole oversee the whole process, and IEBC is already, in my view, it's already compromised even before they choose anybody. So, and with regards to paying back Adani, I know one of the Adani brothers says something that they need to, if this deal doesn't go through, they should be paid back or whatever the case is. The thing is this: if you get into a contract with anyone, okay, there's a law of the PPP Act or whatever the case is. It's basically, and I showed part of it, highlighted part of it. I played it here last time. It says if the company that wants to get this deal, if they have a history, they've been accused of any kind of corruption or any malfeasance or whatever the case is, financial crime, they're not qualified. So if they get into a contract with Kenya, okay, and there's a case pending in the US about corruption and all that, whether it's pending, it's an indictment, it's not a conviction, whether it's still pending, that alone is enough to disqualify Adani. And
let me tell you something.
Yes.
These people were very clever when they were crafting the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And especially where we stand, we know that there's already an agreement between the government of Kenya and Ketraco. to build, those high electric lines. The contract is there. The contract is there, fully signed. And I saw it even on TV, it's there, fully signed. So if the contract is there, fully signed, and you are saying that in case of a dispute, the issue shall not be... Yes, let me just finish, then you'll come in. Okay. Let me just finish, then you'll come in. If the contract is there, and you are saying in that contract that, in case of a dispute, this dispute shall not be resolved, through the Kenyan law. You shall go through an arbitrator in London. What are you telling us? The arbitrators in London, we know that, they are also compromised people. The arbitration market in London is a compromised one, It's about, is an equivalent of what, Grand Muller calls, Juruspesa, whoever has the deep pockets, wins in London, So, when we are being told that, where there are issues, you shall appear before an arbitrator. So, and that arbitrator, wants to listen to whoever has, the deeper pockets. And, that's why, Adani was saying that when there are issues, let us not deal with these issues using the Kenyan laws, Let us deal with them, using an arbitrator in London. And, that was a catch, a catch that, the Kenyans never saw when signing that contract. Let me just allow, that Skip to say whatever he wanted to say.
Okay. Yes, KK, go ahead.
I think, I'm not very good with, I'm very smart. I'm very stupid in terms of law. So
no, you're not.
I think you have a point, but I think I would want to respond to what Wangera said. I think your party, the contract, this is why Gashoka is in court. I think Gashoka, and we're following that too as well. Gashoka is in court to make sure, even if the president said what he said, to follow to make sure even the court itself verifies that's the truth. But I'm not very sure. That's what I wanted to say. And from a selfish part of it, I will talk about what Isaac Ruto is doing, cutting down our trees in our mountains. Last year, we had one of the biggest droughts. This human being is cutting our indigenous trees more than 200 years. I cannot explain how mad I am. Wangari Maathai tried. This man doesn't care. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Wangira, I wanted to say this about contract. Just 2 seconds, then I'll let you go ahead. About contracts, if you get into a contract, you have to come in with clean hands, because a contract is basically can be defined as the meeting of the minds, okay? But here is the thing. If we agree on a deal, okay, we sign a contract, but you had some issues that you didn't disclose that can affect the nature of this contract before we get into it, such as some conviction, or you are wanted in the US for whatever the case is, corruption, that makes that contract null and void. You can get out of it because you did not come into the table with clean hands. So Kenya can rightfully cancel it without paying them back. Now, if Ruto ate the bribe money that they gave him, that's up to Ruto. And probably, Ruto will use the Kenyan taxpayers to pay them off, which is a personal debt. But if the government gets into a contract with Adani and they find out after signing the contract that, these people had a case in country X, Z, blah, 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 then Kenya can say, hold up, wait a minute. We just discovered that you guys have this issue. in this country A, B, C, D, and you guys cannot be, you didn't disclose that while we are getting into this into this contract, so we can come out. The problem is people like what's his name, Chichir, who say they did the due diligence. So I don't know what due diligence they were doing, because we could, you can simply type Adani on Adani corruption cases in YouTube and see all those countries that have been kicking out Adani or have problems with Adani, that don't want it. So that's the problem with the government side. So the thing is, Ruto and these individuals who are bribed by Adani are going to, it is their responsibility as individuals to pay Adani back. The problem is, since they are in the government and they are running the state, they will use the state's money to pay these Adani guys back. But ideally, Kenya can legally get out of the contract without paying them. That's the point I wanted to make. But go ahead, Wangira.
Already I saw a statement by the Adani group itself, disassociating itself with the issue in New York. And, they were saying that, the company that is purported to be part of the Adani group, holds, less than 10% of, the component of, the entire Adani group. Then there was, I didn't get the details, but, there was a manner in which they were trying to disassociate themselves from, the issue that was going on in the US. And, just like I was telling, arbitration, is about commercial law. Is about commercial law. And, when you are signing a contract, then you are binding yourself. You are binding yourself, because a contract, I've seen the act.
Okay.
I've seen the act that you are putting on the screen. But now here, I'm not talking about the act. I'm talking about the contract. Because the contract is already a signed document. It's a contract, because a contract, is an agreement between parties. So party A is the government of Kenya, and party B is Adani. So they have signed, and they were in agreement that we are supposed to work together. And if there are disputes, then we shall not go to the Kenyan courts. We shall go before an arbitrator in London. So if they go before an arbitrator in London, Adani group could argue that we are being falsely accused of bribery, when we are not the main group that was dealing with this particular matter in the United States. We are different entities. Companies, the way they are registered, you can find one person operating 10 or 22 companies the way Gachagua was operating. And every entity is a body corporate. So you cannot start accusing another entity on behalf of another entity. So those issues could come up. And I tend to think that's perhaps where the government of Kenya is playing us. And that's where the issues of bribery is coming. Because for a person to sign a contract that binds us to an arbitration, that means that this person has an interest that if things backfire and they go to the arbitration, and the arbitrator says that you pay Adani, he'll come and tell the people of Kenya, we went to the arbitration, and there was that clause in the contract, and because the arbitrator said that we pay. So these are what I call the underhand games that were played by the government of Kenya and Adani. These were our people who were doing whatever they knew that they were supposed to do. They were doing everything that they knew they were doing, that in case, they fail in the contract, at the end of the day, there will be money. So, whether Adani will be running JKIA or not for 30 years, the reality is that, there will be money that, the government of Kenya will be paying. Whether they are going to contract those power lines for Ketraco and manage them for 30 years or not, be assured that the government of Kenya eventually will pay money. And a good example is, the Arol and Kemarol issue. If you remember the Arol issue, they had a similar clause that, if you cancel our contract, then you pay us. And the government of Kenya has ended up paying the company that was to carry out their role and Kimarel Dam, for the government of Kenya has ended up paying them for doing no job. For doing no job at all. So, where we are with Aro, where we were with Aro, is where we are with Adani.
Let me just say this. Okay, in a contract, the two parties that are getting into this agreement have responsibilities, okay? And I would like to believe, I haven't seen the Adani one specifically, but I would like to believe that there is the clauses that deal with in the event one party does not fulfill its commitment, then action X will take place. They will, go their own way, or one party will compensate the other. I would like to believe that they had that in order for it to even be considered a contract. But here is a case where, okay, let's say first of all, this case is so complicated because number one, they've got into an agreement. Let's say they've signed it. It has been signed. Okay. Adani wants to say, okay, they want to be paid back. What exactly has the Kenyan government? What exactly has the Kenyan government failed to fulfill in this agreement? Because the issue, just a minute, I'm coming in next. Because the issue is that the Kenyan government has discovered after signing the contract that this company has whatever issues, legal issues that has to do with graft, corruption. Okay. Now, to your point that you're saying there's a different company, company. I think that indictment in New York was very clear. They were very clear that Adani is a conglomerate which has different whatever companies that do different stuff. Okay. So even if we go to that arbitration, let's say they go to that arbitration, Kenya can argue that, hey, listen to, they have an active case here. They have an active in Bangladesh. They have an active for this. So this company has a reputation of conning people, and we stopped the contract after we discovered this to have happened. So maybe Ruto has duped them and took the money and ran away with it. But KK, KK, go ahead.
Oh, niko nasema pole. Niko nasema the plan, I think, was all along alikuwa anajua the deal was going to be nullified. Now, our con comes in, has a cut of what Adani was still going to be paid. I think that was a plan all along. I think whatever we think we're finding out, we are getting played. All along, he knew the deal was not going to go through. Because even a bad person, that deal doesn't make sense for anyone, not even for a country. All along, the plan was sign this deal. The fee, we have a fine, crazy fines, right? All along, he's gonna get a cut out of that.
Oh, so KK, you're saying alijua hii deal will fail, but so he will come and tell us that we have to pay back Adani, then hiyo pesa Adani nalipa ndio anaenda kula pia.
Because atasema, you refuse, mlikataa hii deal, then we have to pay this fine. He gets a cut out of it.
Okay. That can be possible.
The other point I wanted to mention, sitaki kuwa aoko, but I will be tonight. And I will be because of what Isaac Ruto is doing, cutting trees. Isaac Ruto failed his law school twice. He's very stupid, and Ruto paid a professor to pass him. If they haven't ask anyone who went to law school with Isaac Ruto, if they haven't killed the professor yet. Anyone who went to law school with Isaac Ruto, check on your professors. Tell me.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
There is a concept. There's a concept I've branded. or organized confusion. That's how I branded it. What you are seeing through the Adani deal is what I call organized confusion. Because the Kenyan government, through the what we call the state law office, the office of the Attorney General, has competent lawyers, who are supposed to comb every paragraph, every word, every sentence of a contract or an agreement. So for them to have, allowed the government of Kenya to append a signature on a contract that was saying that, in case of a dispute, it cannot be handled under the Kenyan laws, but shall be arbitrated in London. They knew what they were doing. And that's what I'm calling, organized confusion here. It was just organized confusion that, mukileta kujua hapa Kenya, then we go to London. And if London says we pay, then we pay. We come back and pay. And at the end of the day, it's not about the project, it's about the money. So, the issue here is money. So, what I see here is a pure organized confusion in a deal that was drawn, under the table by Adani and the Kenyan government to benefit a few people. And that's why they don't care. So, you people, when William Samoei Ruto tells you that, have cancelled the contract, you are clapping for him. Clapping for him what? And at the end of the day, it's the Kenyan exchequer that will end up paying Adani. So at the end of the day, they will end up paying Adani. Because let me tell you, if you go before the arbitration, the arbitrator will not look at the PPP Act. He don't look at the PPP Act, it's none of his business. The only thing that he look at will be, the contract. You look at the contract, the clauses of the contract. What do they say? In case of a breach, what does the contract say? That's what they look at, because he's arbitrating on the contract. He's not arbitrating on the Kenyan law here. Get my point? He's not arbitrating on the Kenyan law. He's arbitrating on the contract. So, the document before him will be the contract that was signed between Adani and the Kenyan government. So when you're arbitrating...
No, sorry. I just wanted to say that case, Gachoka case, is also it's so important because wait. Even before we go to the arbitration, okay, let's say we want to go to the arbitration. The Kenyan people are saying this contract was the people who entered to this contract, who are representing the state, did so illegally in violation of what? The PPP Act. Okay? So that's number one, before you even get to the arbitrator. So this thing should be null and void before we even get to the arbitrator in London, because it's already the fact that these guys made the terms that they came to a disagreement violated the law of Kenya. So you see, so even by that alone, that's why the case with Gachoka is very important. It will be interesting to see what the judges say about that, because if they
I hear you fully. And, let me tell you the reason why Adani is laughing. Adani might not be very interested in what will come out of, or the Kenyan court. The only thing that he's holding on is, the contract that was signed between him and the government of Kenya. So if the High Court in Kenya here decides to say that, the contract, the due diligence was not undertaken by the government of Kenya, there was no public participation, blah, blah, blah. Then, the contract is null and void. Where Kenya stands, yes, the contract will be null and void. But what Adani will do? Adani will move to London. And, before the arbitrator, they'll tell the arbitrator that, see, look, here is the contract.
They can't go to... Listen, they can't go to London because at that point, Kenya is not liable for that fine that they want us to pay them. You understand? If the court did say this contract was illegally signed they didn't follow the due process, the law of the land of that state, because this is not just two individuals. This is a company versus the state. And within this state, there's laws that govern how they get into the process in which they get to this contract. So if that law is already violated, then even if Adani goes to the arbitration case in London, they will stand no chance, because at that point, the state cannot pay them because the laws that got them into that was violated. You see what I'm saying? So there will be no arbitration there. So we can't pay them. So if
let me tell you, commercial area is very, very interesting. Commercial area is very, very interesting. And that's why I've told you that for the Kenyan government to have blindly signed that, in case of any dispute, it shall not be determined under the Kenyan law, but shall be handled by an arbitrator. That was already what I am calling, organized confusion. So, where this guy, where the Adani guy stands, he has, a valid contract, endorsed by the government of Kenya. So, he does not care much about what is likely to come out of the High Court. The High Court will rule that, the government, you entered in that's what the High Court is likely to rule. Whatever you entered into was an illegality. Then you should not continue with it. Then after that, what next? Adani, because, by the way,
if the court rules that it was illegal, then they can't, because the court represents the state. You are okay? It represents the state. So if the court says it was illegal, then Ruto, as the executive branch head of the executive branch who was entered this contract with Adani, cannot go to the government's piggy bank to remove money to pay Adani, because the other arm of government, that is the judiciary, has said that this thing was illegal. So you cannot go and pay Adani. So if there's any payment to be done, it has to come from Ruto's pockets. That money that he took as a bribe, him and Raila, not the Kenyan people. That's what I'm saying. You understand?
Listen to me and listen to me very, very carefully.
Okay.
One thing, the first thing, remember that Adani as a company is not a party in this suit as a High Court. Is it a party? Are you sure it's a party?
Yes, they are. I think so. Yeah. Actually, I saw the thing on
Find out.
Tommy. Yes.
Find out.
They are.
Find out. Find out, because the party is not Adani. The party in this case is the government of Kenya. The people being accused is not Adani as a company. The people are being accused here is the government of Kenya for having entered into a contract. It's the government of Kenya that is being accused here for having entered into a contract. Adani is not a party. Find out.
Let me pull out Gachoka's page. I think he posted it.
Find out.
Page. I think they are.
Who are the respondents? Who are the respondents?
I think it's the one with Kentraco is I think it's Kentraco, whatever. Let me just pull it up. Let me try to find it. Let me not talk out of guesswork. Let me try to get it. Tony Gachoka. Let me just try to find it. But yes, I'm just saying, or even if while I try to find it, even assuming that Adani is not a party in this, okay? Which arm of government was responsible to sign that signature, that to get into contract? Which arm of government? Let's assume
this is how this is how government works.
Yeah.
Anything that has a commitment on the government of Kenya, must seek an opinion from the office of the Attorney General. So there must have been an opinion from the office of the Attorney General before the signing was undertaken. There must have been an opinion, because you cannot commit the government of Kenya without an opinion from the office of the Attorney General.
Perfect. So now you're getting there. We are getting somewhere. So they have to have an opinion with the Attorney General. Now here is the thing. Tony Gachoka is a concerned citizen of Kenya, who is saying this contract was not done properly as the law states. Okay, that's his argument. I'm just paraphrasing his whole argument here, that the contract that they entered with the Adani was not by didn't follow the due process. Okay, Even I think when Amenya was being interviewed in the Indian channel, they asked that. Was there no public participation or whatever the case? Not public participation, public information, so that people can bid for it. That didn't take place. So already, if that was already a violation, okay? So even if the Attorney General and the President and whoever was involved, Badi or whoever, signed that contract, Gachoka in this case, who represent the people of Kenya, is saying this is an illegality. If the court sides with him and say, hey, you guys didn't follow the law, there's nothing lawful about this contract. That at that point, once that decision is being made, Kenya is not liable to pay Adani a cent. That is something that now Ruto and whoever put his signature there are responsible for. It shouldn't come out from the public coffers at that point. If they have to go to, if they are to take that to arbitration in London, Kenyan government is not responsible for that, because Kenyan government have discovered that this thing was signed illegally. There was a process before it was signed, and they didn't follow that. They violated the law. So in arbitration, whoever yule mtu aliweka sahihi alipe hiyo pesa. So if it is Ruto who took the money, Raila and whoever, walipe hiyo, see your government.
Listen to me, and listen to me very careful. And that's why I have a quarrel with that provision of arbitration, And arbitrations, are provisions that have been used by crooks like Adani, to make them hang on a deal, even when that deal is not there. Let me tell you what is likely to happen in London. If the court here decides that the contract was null and void, then that will be the end of the contract as far as Kenya is concerned. But Adani will move to, will still move to London. But Adani, let me just finish, then you'll come in. Let me just finish my thought, then you'll come in. Let me just finish my thought, then you'll come in. So, what Adani, as an aggrieved party, and I've told you that, Adani is not a respondent in the Tony Gachoka matter. I want you just to find it out and tell me whether Adani is a respondent. He's not a respondent there. What Adani will do, they will move to London, and, they will summon the arbitrator. And, if the arbitrator in London, rules in their favor and says that, they be paid, and the government of Kenya does not pay, that's what we call the international obligation on the government of Kenya. If you don't pay, then your embassy in London can be easily auctioned, to foot, this particular.
I know about that. As we talk, I'm reading a book about that. I'll post it here. But here's the thing, Wangira, you're missing. There's something, there's a disconnect here. I get what you're saying. Adani, when they go to arbitration, this is why maybe, and I'll say it for the 14th time, then KK will get in, because I knew he wanted to say something. If the court rule that the process in which Adani entered into this contract with the government of Kenya was unlawful, at that point, once that judgment has been made, the Kenyan state government is not responsible for any payment to Adani regarding that contract, because the process in which they entered into that deal was unlawful. Now, at that point, when they go to arbitration, if Adani wants their money and they still go to arbitration, guess who will be responsible for that money at that point? Whoever signed that contract, and whoever signed that contract will not have the law backing him. He cannot be allowed to take money from our exchequer, because the courts have already ruled that they are not responsible for that, because the contract is illegal. So you cannot go to our exchequer and ask for money to pay Adani. That is something that will have to come out of your individual pocket as somebody who put who put his signature there for that deal to happen. Go ahead.
KK comes in. Before KK comes in, let me just say something small. On the basis of a contract, just like when you are holding, what we call, a pro forma invoice, on the basis of a pro forma invoice, you can go to a bank and there will be a commitment because it will help you commit yourself and you can even get funds upfront. Let me use an example of a pro forma invoice. So assuming that, you went to a company, you entered into a tender with them, then they agreed that you supply, then you moved into Equity Bank in Nairobi, borrowed the money, and just as you are processing to supply, then you received an information telling you that, the tender has been cancelled, No, who is supposed to foot for those losses, We're supposed to foot for those losses. And, that's the commitment part that I'm telling you that, I believe that Adani, having gotten, this contract, that was validly signed by the government of Kenya, could have committed itself. And now that the government of Kenya has cancelled, or this particular contract, who pays for the commitment? Those are the questions that, the arbitrator will be trying to answer.
Here's the answer. Here's the answer on your screen. You see that? The tracking number. Are you able to see? It says citation Tony Gachoka and Mount Kenya jurist versus Adani Group and Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury, and the Economic Planning, and 6 others. So the Adani Group and the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, Economic Planning, and those 6 others that were part of this case, I'm assuming they were responsible for signing that deal. They were, in that process, because they were supposed to do their due diligence and all that stuff, and get into agreement with Adani. But if it is found that they didn't follow the process, the law was broken, then at that point, the state Kenya cannot be responsible for that. So if Adani goes to the arbitration case in London, Cabinet Ministry, Treasury, the person, not the Treasury of Kenya, the person who put their signature there will be responsible for that. So hao watamalizana na Adani huko. But they still have a good case because they can argue, hey, look at Adani. They are being prosecuted here. They have, they are being wanted somewhere. There's a, Yes, go ahead, sir.
Assuming, I think I'll follow what Mr. Wangila is saying.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that's true, there's some truth to it. Don't forget who is the president. If Adani and watch, if they fast track this case to what Mr. Wangila is saying, Ruto is the one who's going to appoint the lawyer. And that lawyer will be an incompetent person to make sure that case fails to justify a reason to take our money and pay for the fine. Think about it.
Can you say that one more time, because I kind of lost you?
Oh, hold on. Where's my mic? Nasema, if that's a case, if Mr. Wangira's logic is right, if that's a case, this guy is the one still in power, right? He's gonna get incompetent lawyer to get that case to fail, to justify reason to use taxpayers' money to pay for the fine, because atakuja atuambie, told you, there might be something there.
Wangira, there's in Constitution Article 225, is it 4 or 5, where it says if a government official, let me get the right one and I'll put it on the screen, misappropriates public funds or something like that, whether he's active or was a government official before, he can be held personally liable. Let me find it. It's Article 225 or 226. Let me see. Let me just find it. So basically, where I'm going with this is at the point where, let's assume the crap, my thing is frozen. Crap. In the event that the courts decide, the rules that hii kitu ilikuwa illegal, at that point hao wakina nani cabinet ministers as individuals will be held liable personally. Let me find that that article in the Constitution. I think it's Article 220.
It is Article 226, sub-Article 5.
Yes. Did you find it?
Yes, Article 226, sub-Article 5 reads that if the holder of a public office, including a political office, directs or approves the use of public funds contrary to law or instructions, the person is liable for any loss arising from that use and shall make good the loss whether the person remains the holder of the office or not.
Saba. Don't even go on. Don't even go on. Does that answer your question? Does that answer your So Ruto, but the thing is, the sad part, we cannot celebrate because you know why I can't celebrate? Just like to KK's point, Ruto is the president. So if he tells Mbadi, who's the Mbadi is the one who signs the checks, right? So if he tells Mbadi, can you jump? Mbadi will be, how high do you want me to jump? So if he tells Mbadi, hey, toa hiyo milioni ninio tumalizane na watu wa Adani, they'll pay it, unfortunately. So basically Kenyans will pay it whether we like it or not. But lawfully, if the judges say that this thing is illegal, then whoever put their sign there with the Adani, they are liable to pay for that money. Now is it clear? Good conversation. Good.
I get your point. I get to a point, rightly, that the Constitution says so. Says so. So what we are agreeing on is that in whichever way, Adani at the end of the day, it's likely to get some money out of Kenya. It's likely, whether it will be paid from personal pockets or from the exchequer, at the end of the day, they are likely to get some money. And again, even if Adani are the respondents, in this particular matter, what will be their accusation against Adani, in the Tony Gachoka case? Because, Adani only entered into a contract with the government of Kenya. So, the person liable there is the government of Kenya, who was supposed to have carried out due diligence. And, if the government of Kenya failed to carry out due diligence, it failed in its obligation because this other person was just a party. So, at the end of the day, if the High Court was to rule that, the deal, is null and void, still, Adani, will still have something to hold on. And I believe that they'll still have something to hold on and to run to London. And, at the end of the day, whether it will be from the pocket of William Samoei, and that's why, and now I agree with you that, we need to see people, for example, when William Samoei Ruto, leaves office, we want to see, some of his properties auctioned, to pay for some such deals. We need to see some of his properties auctioned, the government of Kenya auctioning some of his properties to pay for such blunders. Because, we cannot keep on paying for blunders that are being done by, public servants. I remember the judgment by, Justice George Odunga, on the Miguna matter. No, it was Justice Mwita Chacha on the Miguna matter, where, he says that, Miguna, no, it was Odunga. It was Justice Odunga. In the Miguna matter, when he said that, Wakina Matiang'i and Boynet should pay a fine of 200,000 shillings, he said that, that fine must come from their own personal pockets. Must come from their own personal pockets. They should not go to their offices and, pick that fine to pay. It must come from their personal pockets. So we need to see a scenario in Kenya where we have personal liability that, you have caused the government of Kenya loss, and because you have caused the government of Kenya loss, then you pay as an individual. If you are the president of the republic, we auction you. If you are the CS for treasury, we auction you. And I believe, in their countries, I believe, South Korea, and I believe also China, that have taken that route, that, if you fail the country, then, you face the consequences. And, we need to see that people in this country face the consequences, because, where we stand today, 14 years, almost 15 years after we promulgated a new constitution, we have never seen public officers, facing consequences for what we call omission or commissions. And, that's the reason why, to them, it's business as usual.
Yep, that's true. Well, Karen Nyamu is being auctioned. I don't know how true that is, Karen Nyamu. But yeah, KK, anything kuongezea before to wrap this thing? I was trying to go 2 hours like me. Yeah. And where's your brother, Nani, Captain? Where is he going to? Captain,
in a minute.
Yeah.
No, I think sina kitu ya kuongeza. I think hizi vitu, it's a very sad situation that somebody don't even care about other people. You're already a billionaire. You're already the president. And you can't help yourself. This is the kind of person we're dealing with. Just an animal. Because, assume, like all of us, if you're a billionaire, you're the president, you're good. Just let things run normally. But you just want to mess everything up. This is the kind of person we're dealing with. This is why this person has to go. And we can expect due to 2027. That's a myth. Stop dreaming. Wanakuambia sijui nini. What IABC run by this person? Judiciary compromised. Parliament compromised. We are lost. This person has to go. And he has to go. No other way. And I know Mr. Wangire nakuja na niambianga hapa, I'm very negative. But think about it. Let's just look at things logically. Huyu jamaa Kome ako kwa pocket yake. Parliament mpaka watu wa mlima voted against their own will. Sai ground kuna joto. Did you see the video of I hope you can play it.
Oh, Nani, I know who you're talking about. Ambaye alikuwa anazungumza kwa kanisa aka.
Mlima wetu.
What's his name? Shoot. Yeah.
Anaenda kuongea. Pastor akaanza kuimba. Hakuna.
Was he talking about alikuwa anataka kuongea mambo ya Gachagua or something, and they started interrupting the speech or something like
Sikusikiza because me, I started listening to the song. But he was trying to talk about something about president or something like that. And that continued.
Yeah. You want me to play the video?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. And there were some ladies also who were complaining about Alfred Mutua's very quickly. I like what Chief Negus is saying here. She said, I believe that also there's also an argument for not paying odious debts as Pawanjigi. The money went into people's personal pockets and therefore should be recouped from those same pockets. So
assuming we have a functional judiciary, we don't.
Right.
We can all agree that. So easy V2, and you're true. That's very true, Chief Negus. That's very true. But these things hesitate to happen until we remove this animal, because he's an animal. Not to insult animals.
All right. No. Hold on.
Okay. Tidero twemura.
What was he saying?
Hapo anasema lazima niongee. Kuongea nitaongea na pasa anaendelea. Like he was trying to say I have to speak. Speak where? Get the fuck out.
Why exactly did they stop him from speaking?
Oh, I think the whole thing is a frustration of what the environment.
Oh, he's a pro-Ruto government person, right?
Yep. He's a Kindiki.
Oh, okay, so okay. Hapo ilikuwa wapi?
Sijui, but I don't know. Let me see.
No, this is what happened. Although I don't understand Kikuyu, but what I've picked up from social media is that Moses Kuria started criticizing Rigathi Gachagua, and immediately started criticizing Rigathi Gachagua. Now that pastor you have seen at the back, took the advantage, and he started now singing immediately. Moses Kuria started criticizing Rigathi Gachagua. The guy started singing, and everybody was standing up and singing. That left Moses Kuria confused. And that tells you one thing, that in Mount Kenya, the ground, as far as William Samoei Ruto is concerned, is gone. Nobody wants to listen to William Ruto. You remember, Kithure Kindiki's condolence speech could not be read. And even William Samoei Ruto's condolence speech could not be read in that ceremony today. That's how bad things are in Mount Kenya as far as William Samoei Ruto is concerned.
That's why if the election were to be held in 2027, Ruto is not going to win. But with all these political alignments, as long as we operate within this very system that we are in, Ruto will, like Wangira always says, he will do a Kibaki. So I don't think to me, I still stand, we should just try to remove this through a popular revolution, a peaceful protest till he goes. Other than that, I don't think he's going anywhere. Easy sarakasi zitaendelea. But this week will be important. We'll see what, I'd like to hear what Raila says about Adani now. and the Wanda is to continue to say, and on 27th is what? When is 27th? Is it a Friday or the next Monday?
Wednesday.
Okay, so that's when the Gachoka versus Adani and the cabinet minister's case will be adjudicated then. So we'll see what comes out of that. So interesting times we're living in. Anyway, any last thoughts? I'll start with KK, then we'll go to Wangira. Any last thoughts before I funga the duka? I know it's late there in Kenya. Wangira is falling asleep.
Yes, please. I think we should continue. We should not give up. Giving up is not an option. And we should make sure we keep an eye on this animal. And each and every tentacles it has. All of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Wangira.
Good to see you too, KK. Enda kawashe moto huko kwa jirani. I know you'll be... we'll see.
No. Squeeze nimetulia, man. Squeeze nimetulia.
Ukisha wewe sijui captain wewe KK. Sijui captain alikununulia nini ile kitu mnakunywanga ukisha
No, man, unaangalia hivi unashindwa. Kwani tuko na wazimu? Unakaa jana, sijui jana mani juzi. Ruto akiongea anasema sijui report the police abducting, the people abducting to police, and the police are the one abducting. I'm like,
and people are clapping in parliament.
Ni wazimu, man. It's sad. It's a very sad state, to be honest with you.
All right. Mr. Wangira, Honorable Wangira, please.
I want to say one thing.
Before that one thing, Wangira, can you please talk to Okiya Mtata? Tell him to come here. We are very nice people. We won't cut his mic off. We won't nothing. We'll be very... So contact him and let me know tomorrow. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, I'll call him. It's already a new day in Kenya. I'll try to call him today. Then perhaps when we meet in the evening, I'll give you the message.
Okay.
So, there's one thing that I want to say. When we promulgated the 2010 Constitution, we were supposed to have come up with what was an independent parliament. But unfortunately, the parliament that we seem to have in Kenya today is a conveyor belt for William Samoei Ruto's agenda. It's not an independent parliament. Look at, the issue of the Finance Bill 2024. They pushed it because, William Samoei Ruto wanted it pushed. And, when William Samoei Ruto eventually said that, he was not going to sign it, they again clapped for William Samoei Ruto. Look at the Adani deal, they have been telling us that, the Adani deal is a good deal. When William Samoei Ruto said that, it's not a good deal, now they also now agreeing with William Samoei Ruto that it's not a good deal. So, what we have, in form of the Kenyan parliament is what we call in Kiswahili Kibaraka, is a pure puppet parliament, a puppet that only serves William Samoei Ruto and not the people of Kenya. Then finally, when you are not, when now, like, you are going off air, I don't know when you will get here next. Why can't we form, a small WhatsApp group, where we can be communicating and where you can perhaps be indicating to us, when you'll be coming next, so that, we can get in touch, unless, like me, unless, Kip tells me that, you'll be on air on a particular time, it's hard for me to even know. Perhaps you can think of forming a small WhatsApp group.
Can you put your number on the private chat so I can write it down right now?
Okay, let me just put it there.
After mine, Kenya Rebel.
Okay,
I think the WhatsApp group is very helpful, especially we need to expand, we need to communicate more. And we have to do what we have to do to help our country. And by the way, did you come anyone watch the video from New Zealand when they were trying to push the racist settlers law?
Is it the one that lady started doing that thing in the rugby?
Oh, we need to do that. We need to do that for the whole country.
KK, lakini wewe you're funny. Nyinyi mkipatana na captain, it's hiyo siku I just know it's a wrap. Okay. I know. Endo kasumbue pasta huko ukisha.
No. Now what it is, man. He's siasa man inachosha. Now watch football though.
Oh, college football. Okay, I see Wangira's number over here. Noted. We nani sasa keep ndio huyo, keep namba yake niko nayo. Sasa ndio huyo keep anaingia sasa. Sasa zile watu wanataka kufunga duka ndio anaingia hapo. We keep wewe. Keep. Okay.
Mbona mmesema
msinitie nani anaitwa nani? Faruk. Kipo ulikuwa unasema wewe umeingia hapa injury time.
Yes, unajua sasa saa zingine lazima ujenge nyumba bana. Kipigiwa simu na
bibi amekupigia simu, amekwambia
we need to talk now.
Relationship ilikuwa inaenda kombo kidogo.
Lazima ujenge nyumba bana. My dear.
We need to talk.
Kenya. Let's fix our home first.
Enyewe, charity begins at home.
We need to talk. We need to talk now.
We need to talk now. By the way,
just your statement unastuka bana. That is
anyway, mimi niko nataka kufunga duka, niende nisikie hizo machannel zingine. Unajua mimi I like listening to different people.
Nilifukuzwa huko.
Nani?
I was kicked out.
Keep you are a member, wacha mchezo. Keep is like a
I became too much. So I was kicked out of all the WhatsApp groups in the Gambia. You are just spreading rumors. You're a rumor monger.
Wacha. Ukwani ulikuwa na spread rumor nani? Ama wapendi siasa yako?
Wapendi, unajua siasa yangu ni against Raila completely.
Niliwasikia
ukisema hata ukitaja kitu moja, hata ukisikia ukiongea
jana ulikuwa umewasha man. I like, damn. I loved it.
Keep is evolving. Keep alikuwa mpole. Squeezy. Violence immediately.
Violence, we like violence bana. Mi hakuna kupembeleza watu ati sijui Raila is sijui good sijui nini. Na nikaonesha picha za watu wake akina Alai wakiongea uongo. I'm like, yeah, look, these are your people. It's not me who's saying this. It's not me. It's Salasia who's saying this. It is this guy who's in Jakarta saying it's not me. It is them. Oh, you are spreading rumors. It's not a rumor when somebody else is saying exactly what I'm saying, that Raila is a fucking conman. So mimi sijakuja hapa kupembelezana na watu. Me, I thought that there was going to be maturity, I'm out of those games. You'll never see me there. I cannot go there and pretend.
No, you make things you make things interesting ukiwa hapo. Unajua hata kama uko na divergent view, lakini wewe unaiweka in a nice way ambayo the host anaweza ku accept. It's palatable.
Unajua ile kitu mimi uogopa kina keep na rebel. I think some of us have to engage in this conversation in good faith. Unajua? And it's very sad when some of us are not having that. You know, we can all see what's happening in our country. We want a better country for all of us and our future and our kids. Mbona kila mtu atuone hivyo? Tuanze kuwastiana time kuongea vitu hazina maana. Unajua what you're saying. You know what we are complaining about and you know it's true, but you're still in denial. It's very painful.
Yeah, but unajua siasa, somebody once said siasa zingine Kenya watu wanaichukua ni ball. Unaona? Wewe unaangalia if your candidate ni amekosea, you cannot say amekosea. Yeah, mpaka you have to stick with them for whatever reason. So everyone is different. Hiyo ndio kitu nilikuja of all these years nimeargue na watu from Mtembei days to up here. I learned that kila mtu wako in different phase on their political journey. Kuna watu bado wanaamini the old school politicians, kuna watu wako Gen Z, kuna watu wako like in a different space. So everybody you talk to, you have to address where they are. Saka kwa bado anaangalia Raila ni nini, sasa wewe unaweza kumwambia cheki for real, okay, wewe unasema Raila kwa hivi, what about this, what about that, what about that, na unamwachia hapo instead of wiki tambo. I was like, man, I mean, I still call him a conman, but you know, just for the sake of, you know, unajua zingine unaweza sema conman na kuna mtu amemwamini too much, so he's like, so you have to be like accommodating to everyone, trying to understand where they're coming from. No, so even if hatuwezi kupatana, I can just
Your point I get,
so that we can have a conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
But we have to come from a good faith part. Hiyo ndio point na emphasize. You have to have good intent. Hiyo ndio nasema. By the way, and if you don't mind, please ongeza Negus and WS Banker on the group chat if you can.
Okay.
Please add me on the group chat, please. Also, you have my number, eh?
Yeah, I do have your number.
So the problem is
number ya Negus or WS Banker.
WS Banker kuna email yangu, to exchange numbers. I know how to reach her. Yeah.
I have your Twitter, but I know you block your thing. You don't have.
You may block. Nimekublock.
No. Huna nini DMs, you know, like.
Oh, I have to follow you so we can DM each other.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Post unaweza kucomment lakini.
Yeah, like I can comment, but you know.
Okay, comment, that's why I can follow you, so you can DM me, I can DM you. You understand?
Yeah.
Ama utaki nijue unafananaje? Kwani wewe ni
mimi sina uso. Mimi kila kitu yangu ni anonymous, man.
Acha kuogopa. Mimi nataka nikikupa sikufi peke yangu. Ruto akinikujia wewe pia nakukujia. I'm not dying alone.
Kwani wakakupata nani atokea? We have to, you know, lazima tukue anonymous, man. Ukikupata na mimi naanza na yangu kesho.
Nataka nia kikuja kuniua nasema KK ndio aliniambia niseme hizo vitu. He's right there.
Umeanza kuhanifa hata wewe.
Nani?
That is what I was looking for. By there, I just wanted to say something quickly. Yeah. There is no problem about explaining to people and understanding where they're coming from. The problem is when you're interrupted during what you're trying to say about a particular individual, even if you come in softly, then you're interrupted to try and change your mind about how you feel about it. I can be as soft as possible and say, he endorsed the Adani deal. He did this thing. He did that stuff. Then you come in and correct me if you think you're correcting me. Let me finish it. Why is it that when it's late in the night, moto inawaka kabisa, everybody is free to say what they want, but for some reason, You can abuse Ruto, you can abuse Uhuru. When I say abuse, I mean that
I know what you mean.
You can talk freely about them. But when it comes to Raila, he's some kind of demigod that you cannot touch. It is where we're coming wrong, because today I saw something very scary. And this is what I've been trying to warn Kenyans about. All those so-called experts of Raila Amolo Odinga are singing the praises of Ruto in the strongholds of Raila Amolo Odinga, meaning that they are slowly trying to make us get used to the fact that Ruto is okay. It's a nilotic union where Kalenjins and Luos can be together. Don't worry, Ruto, now we're against the other tribe, the ones who refused you guys to get votes. And I'm trying to show them that UDM and ODM are going to come together, meaning that we'll no longer have these diverse voices in parliament. I don't like ODM, but I preferred that there was some kind of diverse voice that would fight against the government. But now you're going to tell me that government of national unity, so they can do whatever they want. I'm against it completely. Oh, you're not a member of ODM. What do you mean I'm not a member of ODM? You guys decided to pick ODM as the majority leader that is of the opposite voice. I have to comment about it. So if I'm not allowed to say that, and I'm told that I'm a rumor monger, naharibu jina ya mzee, naongea mbaya juu ya mzee, sijui mzee ametufanyia nini, mzee ni mzuri, mzee hawezi fanya makosa, mzee akinikojolea nitafungua mdomo yangu anikojolea. Like, that is the kind of talk they have. Disgusting people. It is awful. The mentality of these Kenyans, that I have to call them out. It's disgusting. We're talking about removing our country from the cancer of footballism. It's like you said, my team won. Your team is nini. I was getting phone calls. Oh, tulishinda. What did you win? You won nothing.
Unajua ile kitu chungu sana nani Kip?
Yes.
Unajua, the most people let's think about sisi, maybe tuko poa, maybe unasaidia watu wako nini. A lot of people ni wenye wanaumia. And people cannot see that. I do not know why people are so selfish. Just because I know I'm connected to Raila, maybe I have his number. I'm blinded by what the damage our country has gone through and what our people go through, especially the younger generations, where there's no healthcare, the education is bad. Kila kitu, we're being exploited.
They've been eating. Bro, they've been eating together. That's what I've noticed. They've been eating together. Jamaa anaenda kupiga kelele. Shika shia kidogo njo nyamaze. Alafu ananyamaza for months. Keeps quiet for months. When he keeps quiet for months, ameshiba. He's had his share of the whole share thing. So you wanted a share of Adani. Now you have to say nice things about it. And it's plain and simple. We're seeing it. Now, kama unataka kuheshimu mzee, you must respect Jaramogi Odinga. Heshimu huo mzee. Huo mzee alisema kijana yake ni mwenda wazimu. She's the one who first said kijana yangu ni mwenda wazimu. Go ahead. And that's what happened. Heshimu Jaramogi Odinga.
I think the guy was compromised all along. He has been compromised all along. I think he works for foreign government, I think. All along.
Yeah.
That is too much of a conspiracy. I just think he's just greedy. That's it. He's a greedy man.
But that's why it's easy to manipulate him. They don't need to do much.
Him and his wife.
My theory is it's all like one big club. Kwa sababu ukimwangalia Raila in particular, he's always been the constant. He's always the head of opposition. Since when? Since 19 what? Well, tuseme tuanze 2007. Hakuna opposition. Yani hakuna mtu mwingine who was the head of opposition ama opposition. And every time yeye ndio kuanga opposition, he loses elections, whether fairly or unfairly, that's another debate altogether. But at the end of the day, akisha lose election, maandamano, back to the government. Then electioneering year ikifika, wanakosana tena. He's again the head of the election, of opposition. So what I'm trying to, what I think is, it's a game they play. Raila, since we're on a clout, we've been there for a while. What on your respect? You'll always be the face of opposition to deter anyone who has a grassroots revolutionary movement.
Changing our country. Anybody capable of changing our country. He has always been there to protect them, I think.
Exactly. Ndio awaeke chini, because just imagine, because if you want to be the opposition, watu wataanza kusema wewe ni nani? I mean, you standing against Raila, you stand no chance, whatever. Ndio maana nasema ukiona even with that Miguna incident in 2017, alafu na the Gen Z incident, when Gen Z were now becoming the official opposition, because Gen Z walisema okay, si ndio unaendanga maandamano, this time tunaenda maandamano without you. Akafanya nini? It's I'm not losing my position. Hii inaribu ninio. Hii inaribu the whole no, ina disrupt ninio. Let me go back nishikane na Ruto, order my goons to wachape ninio opposition, I mean Gen Z. Then they get back together. Then ikifika 2027 utasikia. I can bet you to bet saizi $200 skip or whatever. 2027 Raila kisha kosa AUC atarudi wanze hii beef na Ruto. It will be a fake beef. Walinidanganya. Mnasikia? Tibi mtabam ako kwa ninio, ako kwa ballot. Na nyinyi I'm not saying you. Na watu watamvotia.
I'll take that bet. You know why? Because I think it's sooner than you expect.
Yes.
After February, March.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing in Western. He's consolidating the Western people.
Yes.
He's consolidating the guys there. I thought he stopped doing local politics. Ameanza kuwa consolidate, ameanza kuwashikilia, anaenda kwa ma meetings. Anatoka AUC, anakimbia kwa Gladys Wanga. He's still present. It's like, whoa. Nigga, I thought you were going to do your AUC stuff.
Yeah.
Then he comes all of a sudden, tells us about CDF funds. Are you talking about CDF funds? You should be talking about African issues, not Kenyan issues. So it's sooner than you expect. February hivi, March, ataenda kulialia kidogo, ajifanya analialia like what he did in the previous. Sijui akuja na mask, labda alianguka amekunywa pombe, aweke hiyo mask yake ajifiche hivi. March, there you go. I can take that bet to the bank, man. Let's go for it, bana.
By the way, before nisahau, sijui kama mmeona nini MP wa Central Imenti, nyumba yake mmefanya salamu watu Central. Angalia kama uko na Andrew Kibe, his picture, hiyo ni how ya apartment ya the MP for Central Imenti, nyumba yake glasses not somewhere. Angalia kwa Kibe, Andrew Kibe. It's amepost leo. Watu wajui. Unajua wanaona kama watu ni wajinga. Hakuna benye utakuwa unaiba, unaharibu nchi yetu na unaishi hapa na mamansion.
So what was the story of him? Watu walijam na yeye how
the same thing. Because unajua watu wamechoka na hawa watu. Everybody's tired.
Yeah. Saizi ukiwa gavaya Ruto na uko Central, you're in.
Umeona hiyo nyumba?
Oh shoot. Okay. Dang.
Watu wacheza
pa mawe.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Watu wako
maglasi imegongo.
Watu wanacheza tu. Tutafika place hawa watu mpaka tutafight. Hata mikono wakitaka.
I'm beginning to believe you, KK. KK, I'm beginning to believe.
Bro, watu wamechoka.
The streets on fire.
Hakuna. Venye watu wana njaa. Hujui unakula nini?
Yeah.
That is crazy, bro.
Mi kitu inanikasirisha, it's like mnadanganywa ile waziwazi na mnajua ni urongo and they're still going on with their lives. Like, nimejua ni urongo, I don't care. Tutaendelea na urongo yetu na tutafanya.
It shows how much disrespect people. It shows how much he thinks people are stupid. Na hajui uchungu atapata. Hawajui. Hii mchezo wa kuchezeana hivi na unauza nchi yetu. Hatutaishi hivi.
let's just look at that Adani thing. This guy is trying to sell our nation. Huh?
Our security, the basic security apparatus we have as a country, sell it to a foreigner.
So I think, like I was trying to say this yesterday, KK, I think Ruto saw that deal of 250 million, akasema, hey boss, niligongwa hapa bana, so you're bribing Americans with 250 million, which is 32 million.
Yep. No, I think the plan was all along. The deal alikuwa najua haitaenda through because it doesn't make logic. Even when wazimu, no one will sign that deal. Even mtu hajasoma. So the plan was, I think, akuja hii deal sign. Kuna zile fees we are supposed to pay after this deal is cancelled. He's supposed to get a cut out of it. I think that was a deal all along. And he thinks he's very smart.
Wow.
Rebel.
No, I think so. There's actually, I think he's getting something out of it. Ruto si mjinga, aingingi kwa deal I agree with you. He must have had something, But
he's
anyway.
eating.
Guys, wacha nifunge. Najua saizi we kipu uliingia kuchelewa, ungerudi hiyo simu yako sijui ligombezwa ama nini, ungeingia mapema kidogo. Chambuane mambo na nani. Na Wangira na watu wengine. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I'll be coming here.
Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. Kuja uchape story yako, utoe yote kwa kifua.
Yeah. Alafu niseme, at least I've said something today that is means without being impeded, I'll be happy. Hata kama ni watu wawili, watatu, 4, I don't
Absolutely.
care.
Nitaenda huko usiku niwasikie mkichoma vitu wewe na piki.
Yeah, ilikuwa jana usiku bana, but I don't think we'll ever go back. It's done.
Bernard akiangalia hizo maninio, akirun back hizo mavideo atasema hii mambo ya usiku itaisha.
Yeah, it's not happening again. We are done. We are done. There's no need.
Niko nacheka. Mimi niko nacheka tu nasikia.
I think it's a joke. I can't be muzzled anymore. I'm done.
Nikaona tu kina nani wakitoka. Vile mlianza, nikaona tu kina nani the hardcore supporters wa Raila wanaanza kutoka.
Now they have the echo chambers there. You'll be hearing Raila things. Badala ya kuongea juu ya revolution like KK, mtakuwa tu mnaenda kuongea the news of the day, and it will slowly shift towards how can we make the UDA ODM government work well for us.
Oh shoot.
That is what is going to happen.
Ikifanyika hivyo,
just being brainwashed towards that. Mimi nilitoka hiyo mambo, I cannot support ever Ruto. Raila nishatoka kichwa yangu. So if you're going to go to that channel to hear about how we're going to make the government work for us, the way they've been saying with Mbadi right now, I know I'm derailing you from closing.
No, that's fine.
End up your channel muskio.
But it's totally different. You kama after nani akiingia, whether it's Julia ama PK ama wewe ama Alexio, I mean, people talk about real stuff. Inakuwa like it's an open, more interesting, watu wanasema vile tunataka, lakini asubuhi ka baba akiwa nyumbani, nobody talks. So mi ungoja unless nione mtu wako interesting hapo ndio. But I mean, to me I enjoy the show.
Hata mimi nimekuwa hivyo. Kuna wakati nakuja naangalia hivi na yeka tu, nikiona mtu mwingine akiongea na mute. Because
hapo muangalie, muwatch, muenjoy, musikie mambo ya sijui what did the polls say today? Sijui tuambie sasa, tuangalie Bible scriptures.
Umecheki mpaka how those polls are very posed.
Enjoy hizo vitu zenu za utoto. Me, I'm not interested. We're here about revolution.
Wacha nikwambie, keep mi watu nilikuwa naangalia ni Wangira, keep KK unajua tu at some KK unichekesha juu KK ataanza vizuri, he sounds very reasonable. Chali nikasikia naenda kuvuta bangi, then anakaa unaanza kusikia, but unasikia vile anasema, where are you going with this?
No, No, unajua.
I can imagine, I imagine KK is like this. Goja muone.
Right?
Really love this. You guys are talking nonsense, all of you. Kwanza aende moja, anaendea kila mtu kwa panel. You guys are talking nonsense here.
We have to be honest. We have to be honest. I do say I don't mind, but I have to tell you hata kama ni ujinga unasema. And I tell you why. Hata ukinikasirikia hiyo ni shida yako.
KK, jana sijui ulianza vizuri alafu kanza sijui ulianzia lala ati I know you're getting paid. I'm like, that was so random. And it's okay, you're getting paid.
Because there's no way that smart can be that naive. Does not make no logical sense ever.
No, the day before yesterday was fire. Manze tuliingilia lala baka. I don't know what happened, but because I was really upset about it. Because I just said, okay, you're the guy who's been fighting for revolution in Kenya. You went to sit down with the problem. Ulienda kukaa na clergy is due 300, and then you're proudly coming to tell us, what did you tell those clergy people about their behavior in Kenya? I wanted to get an answer about that. Oh, is that talking about something else? I'm like, nah, you're being diverted. Hii mambo ya kuja kufanya vitu kwa mtandao alafu wezi enda kufanya hapo kwa ground. I say that is garbage, man.
But that's how you can tell somebody's not a genuine person. But that's how you can tell somebody's not a genuine person. Because what I'll tell you right now, I'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
You're sitting down with the problem. How do you sit down with the problem? We've been talking about the clergy being of the problem in Kenya. Did you speak to your clergy members and explain to them hii mambo ya kupatiwa brown envelopes ni tabia mbaya?
Na unajua
unafanya nini?
Na unajua kama ni Kibaki, assuming we have like a normal government like Kibaki's time, like we can discuss policies, but we are dealing with somebody killing our own people. This is the saddest part of it.
Namwona brother Benson ameingia. Unajua brother Benson akiingia ujue kuna mambo inamwasha.
Mimi nataka tu kusalimia Kip. Mimi leo niko kazi, sitaki kuingia politics nikiwa palipa job, sitaki nifukuzwe. Nilikuwa nataka tu kusikia Kip, na kuna maneno mengine hapa amesema. Unajua kitu something kenye huwa ina happen. Unaweza kuwa mzuri lakini ukikosea lazima uambiwe. Si kwamba ile uzuri wako tuzaiheshimisha. Tunakuheshimu, lakini kuna saa zingine unaweza kuwa unaenda kinyume na matarajio ya wengi. Yeah? Na hiyo ndio unapata kwamba watu wengine wawezi kubali. Na kwanza, hiyo ni ya kwanza. Pili, unajua kuna wakati nilikuwa naongea na Mtanzania mwingine akaniambia dunia saa hizi imeshavaa marinda. Imebaki lipstick tu itoke. Nikamuuliza fahamu nini unamaanisha?
What does that mean?
Dunia ishavaa marinda. Ni kwamba imebaki tu lipstick itoke. Inamaanisha dunia inabadilika. Na kama dunia inabadilika kwa mawazo na pia hata kwa ujuzi na teknolojia. Na unajua mtu hawezi kukuambia kwamba 1 + 1 is 3 na ukubali. Yeah? Kuna pahali ambao naona watu wengi wanakosea, na wanakosea kwa sababu inafika mahali hata kama mtu amefanya makosa wataki kuambia kwamba umefanya makosa, lakini watanyamaza. Na hiyo natumia kauli ambayo labda kulingana na wenye Kipa alikuwa naongea, kwa sababu unapata kama kiongozi fulani amefanya makosa tunamtukana na tumtukane tena tuseme mabaya kwake, lakini mbona viongozi wengine wakifanya makosa tunasema hawa labda wamepigania nchi sana? Wewe umejua umepigania nchi kwa muda ambao inatoshana aje? So inamaanisha kwamba kwa sababu umepigania nchi yako na umetupatia uhuru ama umetupatia uhuru wa kuongea, inafaa ufanye makosa na tukubali.
Fair point.
Ama inakuwa aje?
We should call everyone out, even us hapa.
Yeah.
When I make a mistake, nimekuja hapa mara kadhaa, Kenya Ribo amenikosoa. And I don't mind it. Why can't we do the same for everyone else?
Stone PK was saying this yesterday. He said this is very good. You can do all the right things until you're 90, until you rape somebody. Are we still supposed to say you're a good person?
No.
At age 90 when you raped somebody? No. You've been hiding that from us. You've done all these things like serial killers in the past. They are perfect contributors to societies. Look at John Mason. What will gonna John him to mzuri sana? Did you saw what was behind his house? Dead bodies. So you might be seeing this guy in public looking like the most clean person, fought for a few things for us, and then when you open his house and one of it, this is what I'm saying. You guys are saying you're looking at it like, oh, he's fought for us, he's done all these things. That is a mask, my friend. Benson, it's a mask. It's a mask. It is just basically we were hoodwinked by Raila. He looked like this bigger, greater than person. But then you realize that most of what you say he has done was done by many, not him alone. Every time I say my father of the nation, there was Matiba, there was Martin Shukuku, there was a lot of Kenyans that did. Martha Karua was one of them. But all of a sudden, it's only him who helped us get, what do you call it? Get rid of the one-party states. What about Kibaki? What about all these other people? It's not him alone. So sometimes he takes all the praises and makes it him. It's me. It's me. It's me. No. Kajwang was one of the people who helped him, or Rengo himself. So you guys are trying to paint this man in, oh, alifanya makosa kidogo. This guy has been making mistakes for years, and big ones, very big ones. It's now I've opened my eye the way Kenyan Revolution is saying. Nimesha kufungua macho yangu nikajua mtu ni conman. I've been hearing rumors that he likes money a lot. If you meet with him, you have to get a little bit of cash to do meeting fee. No, Raila is bad news.
But by the way, thank you. By the way, Mimi, I wanted just to okay, see you. I wanted just to say hi to Kip. It has been long, and pleasure seeing you. And Kenya Rebel, also pleasure seeing you. And KK was in my channel with our co-host, and Naona Berudi Hapa. So we will be watching you. But to me, it has always been, mimi huwa kama mtu amefanya makosa, mimi huwa nasema, na kwa sababu pali nimefika, I think I have my own right thinking mind, independent mind. A wrong is a wrong, and you cannot convince me that if a wrong is a right. Yeah, I will tell you this is the wrong. Ama Kenya Rebel, unajua mimi nikikuja hapo lazima nimkosoe. Huyu amelala kwa studio. Mr. Kip, nice to see you. Let me go back to work.
Yeah. Hata bibi jamaa amelala bana. So mpaka katoka. I don't know how to.
Alikuwa amelala.
So we don't know how we're going to close the show.
I don't know. I guess we need to kifunga.
Do you have his number? Do you have his number and text him so that you can close the show so that the stream does not.
I have his Twitter, but I don't. Unakumbuka hanifollow, so I can't be able to DM him.
Yeah, because we can't leave it streaming. It might mess things for him.
Gypsy, you need to get on that channel.
Oh, there is. Wow, what a funga show, man. Bro, me snooze. Funga show. Funga show, man. Funga show.
My shit has been hacked. Look at this out.
You're doing the same. What's the name of that guy? The Shay. My phone was hacked.
Kenya,
you know Shay.
Gypsy Corner kwa chat pia.
Ati nini?
Weke Gypsy Corner kwa chat. Sijui hiyo kwa nini hiyo group ya WhatsApp. Sijui kama kuna connection yake. Na her number.
Oh, Gypsy Corner. Yeah. I do have. Niko na connection yake.
Yeah.
right, wacha niishie juu
Funga
keep on
funga
haka.
bana. Funganisha.
Wazi, man.
Funganisha. See you later bana. See you. Thanks for the
Alright,
time,
guys.
bro.
Good night,
Sawa.
guys.
Peace.
Kila mtu kwa
Thanks for
chat.
coming. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.